Welcome to the Rebel Ballerina Show, where we learn to live a kick-ass rebel life. I'm your host, Lisa Loree, the Rebel Ballerina. There's no farting around in this show, just straight up fun. But if your ears are sensitive, go ahead and move along. If you want a truly kick-ass life, well, then here we go. Hello, and welcome to the Rebel Ballerina Show. I am Lisa Loree, the Rebel Ballerina, and I hope you're having a great day. And you might even be wondering, what's going on here? Well, first of all, this is my first live podcast, so I'm super excited. And one of the reasons I'm really excited to go live is because this way we get to actually interact and I can hear from you like real time, which would be super cool because there are a lot of conversations that we'll be having here. And it's not a me show. It's about you and your voice and what's going on with you. And that's why it's so cool to be able to go live now. So anyway, welcome. And before I get going into any discussion right now, check out my ebook. It is from almost ending it all to fun hot bitch mom. And I hope you will take a look. The link is below, so check it out. While you're at it, if you don't mind liking, sharing, and subscribing, that would be fantastic. So please join in now as we head into just chatting a bit. And you might even be wondering, what's the rebel part about? And why am I moving up and down? That would be my producer helping me. Because again, this is our first live and we're trying to get everything worked out. And of course, woo, there I go. Having a lot of technical issues, as is, I suppose, to be expected, really trying all this stuff out for the first time going live. So you're on the ride with me. And you might be wondering, what is this rebel thing? And even my opening is about, having a kick-ass life. And yeah, I tend to not have a lot of filters anymore. So that's why I give that little disclaimer in the beginning. If your ears are sensitive and you don't like hearing things like, kick-ass or the F-bomb once in a while, or maybe more than once in a while. Anyway, if that's offensive to you, then you probably won't like this show anyway. Just carry on, move on, because I am more blunt and truthful now than I've ever been, because I've been hidden away for far too long and my voice silenced for far too long. And so I don't waste time now. I just pretty much say things like they are. And maybe you're at that point too, where you're just like, you know what? I am so tired of being stifled and having my opinion mean nothing, and to be told exactly what I should think and feel and how I should be and all of these things. And you're discovering for yourself what I discovered, and that it's all at the behest of someone else. And usually that someone else doesn't really give a shit about you. There's an agenda, there's a calculation, and your life is not your own. And you might be feeling that, or maybe you're going, wait, what? What do you mean my life is not my own? Well, if you're, and I'm speaking about obviously a romantic relationship in this case, because that is my vantage point coming out of a 20-year marriage where I was definitely not able to really be myself. And I had to fulfill someone else's desires with my life. It was not my own. Therefore, that's where my prism is primarily. However, this can be about any relationship. It can be a boss, it can be a coworker, it can be a neighbor, it could be a friend, could be a sibling or a cousin. It literally, there's no end to, who the people are in our lives that have some kind of design on us. Heck, it can even be your belief system and a set of rules that we all have to adhere to. There are some things, obviously, we need for safety and things like that. Like, I am all for traffic rules. Okay. I rebel a little in my speed. I will say that. But generally speaking, traffic rules are a really smart thing because, that keeps us all safe. We all get to get where we're trying to go with relative ease. And that's a good thing. But there are some things that are kind of questionable. And I came to a point where I'm like, this, I have to do something because it literally did nearly cost me my life. And if you read the ebook, you'll see what I'm talking about specifically. More specifically, I'm actually handwriting a book, my book. And it's kind of on pause right now because of doing things like this and figuring out different ways to reach folks so that I can get going helping people rather than waiting until my book is finally finished, because that is taking a bit. And I go into great detail in that, but this has quite a bit of detail. So check it out. Again, my ebook, From Almost Ending It All to Fun Hot Bitch Mom. And yeah, I'm speaking largely to single moms. That's, for right now at least, that's who I'm really talking to. However, this is pertinent for anybody that might find themselves in a place where that you've got takers, manipulators, and exploiters in your life. Actually, let's see, takers, exploiters, and manipulators. And I'm going to just start referring to that group of people as Tims, not Tim. Please don't get me wrong and think I'm talking about Tim or anybody named Timothy. No. I'm not picking on anyone in particular. And it's not a guy named Tim. Tims, Tem, takers, exploiters, and manipulators. And I am pretty certain you've had one or two in your life, even if it was in your childhood, and you immediately can think of what life was like, say, on the playground or in the classroom, and you were being picked on and bullied for whatever reason. That was a Tem. Someone who is taking or exploiting or manipulating those people. Basically, just think of mean people. Manipulative, where that everything that you're dealing with them about has some kind of string attached, or you have to walk on eggshells because you don't want to rock the boat or cause discomfort or disharmony, right? It's hard to keep the harmony with these folks. So you're doing whatever you can to make sure that life is smooth. Now, when it comes to being married to such a person, that becomes really, really difficult. If it's your boss, That's not a fun thing. Or coworker, that is absolutely not a fun thing. But hopefully you're able to figure out some way to either change jobs or relocate or something that would mitigate that situation in the near term. However, when you're married, that's not so easy. It's a tough place to be. And it's so tough that in my case, it was a matter of I either stay, well, let me put it this way. I either leave the marriage finally, or I leave the planet, because I could not do this anymore. The insidious abuse, the diminishment of myself, all for the betterment of the other, all of it. There was nothing put into me, only everything extracted. My very soul, to the point where there's just nothing. There's nothing more. And it was like, what's the point? So I did something very odd for myself. Very odd. I rebelled. I freaking rebelled. And that rebellion actually saved my life. It was an interesting time. Some of it's kind of blurry because it was pretty messy, pretty chaotic. But I rebelled. And I didn't even realize at the time that rebellion was starting something in me that would put me on a way different trajectory for my life and help me start figuring some things out. Because of that time, I learned so many vital things about life and living and what it's really supposed to be, and the joy that I'm supposed to have. That's like my birthright, is to actually be me. And your birthright is to actually be you. And the fact is that we literally need each other to be just that. You be you, I am me, and we all bring together different aspects, opinions, gifts and talents, dreams, desires, inventions, and then all of us benefit from each other. And it's pretty amazing when you really think about it. Unfortunately, there are those Thames that come along and they take and they exploit and they manipulate. And it's not for anybody else's good. It's only for themselves. And there's a word that came up recently as I was discussing some of these things with a fellow single mom. And we're discussing the hardship that she's going through right now, custody battle. And I explained to her what I went through in my custody battle. And it was a pretty severe situation. And she said, wow, that's like totally calculated. And it got me thinking about that word, calculated. And that's how these people operate. And then when I look back at even the beginning, the deception to get me into this marriage, believe me, that was calculated. That was no mistake. There were different facets that could have been done in a different way. And it's like, wow, it's obvious that was very calculated, very deceptive. And dare I say, I'd go so far to say that that's not a marriage, because I went into it trusting what I was told and believing, yet the other person had a far different agenda. And basically it was to take my life from me, to bolster his, and to make his the perfect life. And it was, until I toppled that apple cart. Oh boy, that was a bad scene. But in the process, I finally reclaimed me. And that's a really good thing. That's a really good thing because I used to absolutely hate my life. Really hated it. And for a long time, even before I met him, there was a lot of stuff that I'd gone through already that made it difficult for me to say, yay, life. In fact, it was the exact opposite. I'd wake up to a new day, eyes open, and I'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm still here. Why? Why? It was awful, awful to feel that way. Now I actually can say, yay, life. It's like amazing. It's extraordinary. But you know what? I am very blessed to have gone through those things. Not that they were fun, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like, yippee, look at me, I'm learning so much and this is so hard, but I'm learning. No, it was hell. It was hell at the moment. I didn't like it at all. It was awful. There was so much trauma, drama, tragedy in many, many different ways throughout my whole life, really. So I'm not saying yippee in that sense, but I am saying, wow, what a blessing to see this contrast, to see where I've been and what that was like, and now to see what I am today, who I am today, and what this is like. And if you're struggling right now, please do read the ebook and give me your feedback. I really do want to help you. I have been in some deep, deep, deep darkness. And now being in the contrast of being in light and in joy, happiness, and peace it's startling, actually. It's pretty startling and it's pretty amazing. It's really fun. Life is finally fun. And that's part of a huge part, actually, of what I'm talking about in being a rebel. Being a rebel, being fun, having that kind of fun, not caring what other people think. And that all sounds really great and fine and dandy and all that, but then you're saying to yourself, yeah, well, that's great for you. Look at you. What about me? I can't do that. I mean, what will people say? What will people think? Well, I've got some answers to those questions. Some of them you're not going to like because they're kind of obvious. Some of them, though, you're going to go, whoa, oh. I mean, when I made these discoveries, it was truly life altering. It caused me to sit back and go, you mean that's what's really going on here? I have been bamboozled basically my whole life by conditioning in a certain response pattern. Yep, that's what happened. And that childhood trauma response pattern, which is called fawn, specific to people like me, it carries on all through life until you put an end to it. It's a brilliant thing to get you through childhood. It works. Did work for me. But at the point of adulthood, it starts to destroy your life rather than allow you to survive. Well, I guess you're surviving. It doesn't allow you to thrive, though. It doesn't let you go farther than existing. It's kind of like our brain. Now, I talk about this sometimes in ballet class when I'm teaching because there's a lot of fear when we're attempting a new step, especially if you're on point. That can be really scary, especially as you're brand new and you're just learning and then you go to do a turn. It's terrifying at first. It's terrifying. And believe me, I just told a class just recently because I am just getting back on point myself. just been starting to take class very consistently. Got my point shoes. That's a whole nother fun story, but got my point shoes. Been taking class. I've done 2 actual point classes. So not a lot. I'm still working at the bar. Haven't done much out in the center. I've done a little, but I haven't done any pirouettes yet. And I know what I'm up against up here. And I was just talking about that with this class. And after I told them all of this wonderful stuff and wisdom, blah, 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 and I was like, yeah, I know I'm going to be in that same boat you are in right now. Give it a few more weeks before when I start doing pirouettes. I'm going to have to eat these words. So, but basically, it's like we approach pirouettes, something fearful like that, as if it's a saber-toothed tiger, because that's what our brain does. And it's working against these thought processes. And I've been saying for years and years, when anybody asks me about turning, and as a matter of fact, cool story, when I was dancing, way back when in a professional company, there was someone who was in a very high level company as a soloist, came to be a principal dancer in the company I was in at the time. And she actually sat next to me because I'm a turner. Naturally, it just comes to me pretty easily. And not only that, but I've always been a daredevil. So I've been able to turn off that part of my brain to some degree. Maybe not right at first, but once I get the hang of stuff, then I'm like, let's go. I was always the person like, me for different new lifts and stuff. It was so much fun. So she sat next to me one day and just kind of leaned over and said, so what's your secret? And I'm like, about what? I'm just a core person at this time, so I'm thinking, who is this like really well-known wow dancer asking me, this lowly little core dancer, my secret to my turning? And clearly at her level, she could do pirouettes. Clearly, there was not a problem. She did clean, beautiful doubles and triples, but she couldn't get past that. She wanted to know how to do more. And I just said, it's fear. That was a long, 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 long time ago. So I am still talking about fear to this day in the realm of pirouettes even. But now I see it, I just knew it intuitively then. But now that I've been teaching it, I understand from the brain's mechanism about fear. Fear is the response that we need to have. It's in the ancient brain, the amygdala. And I think I said that right. And it's basically your fight or flight response. It's preparing you to run if you need to, or to stand your ground and give it all you've got, right? So there are some physiological things that happen when we're in that. We dump a whole bunch of adrenaline, there's cortisol rushing, your hip flexors go like this because it's positioning you ready to run. Well, you have to throw all that out the window when you're approaching your pirouette, because that stance is going to throw you out of alignment. You have to be tall and long and all of that. So there's an issue right there. So I tell these dancers, it's like, a pirouette is not a saber-toothed tiger. It's not going to kill you. I've never seen a pirouette kill anyone, ever, nor have I ever even heard of it. And they, everyone kind of laughs. And I'm like, you have to understand that your fight or flight and that trauma response, that immediate, fear response, it is all about survival. And that's your brain's job, is to keep you surviving. That's why your heart just keeps going and you keep breathing, except for when you're doing lots of tendus. And your eyes blink and your digestive system is going, all these fascinating things, and truly fascinating actually, are happening. We're not thinking about it. We don't consciously go, okay, blood, keep pumping, keep going. Good. We're not saying that to ourselves. It's just happening. And that's the brain's job. And so when there's some kind of perceived danger, its job is to keep you surviving and alive. The problem is the brain doesn't really give a crap about the quality of the alive, just that you're alive. Doesn't care how that quality is in that alive. So that's when we have to consciously start thinking and looking at things and being able to differentiate between a real threat where we actually need that fight or flight response and something that's perceived in a subconscious way. So that is just a quick picture of how this response works. So when we're kids and we have no control, we have no autonomy, we have no way to take care of ourselves. And I mean, this can start super, super duper young. I know with me, it was around 2. Actually, with me, it was before then because I'm adopted. And that's a whole nother situation that I'll talk about later on. Or actually in a previous episode. So if you go to the YouTube channel, if you're on the YouTube channel, then you'll find it there. If you're not, then go to my YouTube channel, the Rebel Ballerina Show, because I cover that topic, and I will again in the future too. And it's already written in my book. But there's a lot of stuff that's tucked in the subconscious, and we're dealing with along the way that promotes this trauma response. And there are 4 of them. There are 4 understood responses. One is fight, we know that one, and flight, and freeze. Fight or flight are the most, well-known. There's freeze, but then there's a lesser known one until now, fawn. And I want to help spread the news about the fawn because that's who I am. And there's a ton of information that we've heard about in the last decade or so about the Thames, the takers, exploiters, manipulators, otherwise known as narcissists. We've had a lot of information explaining them and describing who they are and how they operate. And that's great because that's essential for understanding some of what we're dealing with as fawns. So now it's time to talk about us and to get this rebellion, get this going and rebelling against not necessarily the people. You'd be surprised. It's about rebelling against this condition that is now destroying your adult life because you're stuck in this pattern and probably don't even know it. I sure didn't. I had no clue whatsoever of all of this stuff that was going on and how I ended up in that marriage in the first place and how I ended up without being able to dance the way I was supposed to dance for nearly 30 years. It's a pretty big deal. And if you're not living your dream, this is probably wrapped up in it. More than likely. So I'm really hoping that you will continue to think about, join me in this conversation. There's so many facets to all of this, and it shows up in so many different ways. And that's what I'm exploring on this, the Rebel Ballerina Show, plus lots of other stuff. Because I mean, there's so many things to talk about, so many fun things, or maybe even not so fun. We unwrap that stuff too here and have fun in the process. But seriously, it is time for us to rebel. It is time for us to take back our own lives and be who we really want to be and be doing the thing that we know that we were created to do. It sounds pretty simple. once you start to understand this stuff, it's amazing. When I started understanding these things, and it took me a good long time to piece all this together, it was like, holy cow. The question is, how long do you want to wait? Do you want to wait until you've got one foot in the grave? Where you're like, I really don't even want to be here anymore. And you're tired of existing, but it seems like either there's no other alternative, there's no real choice, you're stuck where you are. Or if you already know you need to make some changes, but it's too uncomfortable, or you don't know what to do. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. That's where I was. But I am here now as a totally different person. And I'm explaining what I've gone through, what I've learned, so that you too can make these discoveries and make them a lot more easily than I did. So I'm going to go ahead and end it now, but I am so excited to get to be here and have this live broadcast. And I really hope that you will join me in the future and we'll have the glitches more worked out. Or maybe not. Who knows? Keeps things more exciting though, right? You never know. Oh, I sure understand that about live performing. Woo! You never know what you're going to get. There are no takes on stage. So this is similar. It's a live broadcast. There is no, oops, let me try that again. And we get what we get. So until next time, I hope you have a brilliant, wonderful day. Again, please check out. And I want you to have fun. It's time to have fun. Fun in life and enjoy. So join me again. Next week, I won't be here on Wednesday, but the following weeks after that should be Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Kind of obviously, but those of you who know me know that I'm a night owl, so you never know. No, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join me. Please let me know what's on your mind because I would love to talk about what you want to talk about. So put in a comment, let me know, and we'll do this again. Have a fantastic day.